وأهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الحكيم وهو أصدق الصادقين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Dear brothers and sisters, youngsters and elders, Assalamu alaikum. The month of Muharram has arrived. It is the beginning of the new Islamic year, and this is 1436 after Hijrah. Unlike most, if not all other communities, we the Muslims begin our year with sadness and heavy hearts. We do that following the actions of our Holy Prophet or Sunnah, who used to weep whenever he saw the crescent of Muharram, as he knew full what to come in the year 61 of Hijrah at Karbala that month. The gatherings and mournings this month all over the world have started this year also, to remember the great sacrifice the family of Rasulullah has presented in order to save the greatest religion, Islam. May Allah accept all of our efforts and amal this month. It is a great blessing that with the beginning of the Islamic year, we have this wonderful institution of Majalis. This is perhaps the most widely attended school or university in the world, where we learn from each other and try to impart knowledge and wisdom to our youngsters and to ourselves. And of course, the reward of attending such gatherings is so high that its fullest amount is only known to Allah. It is also, I've just been told, it is also very satisfying to see that some of our Ahle Sunnah friends are here also, and they have joined us in these programs. And why not? And why not? The love of the family of Rasulullah is universal. And we, just being Shia Muslims, cannot possibly claim all the rights on Imam Hussain or the family of Rasulullah. As was so nicely put by an atheist poet actually, Josh Mali Abadi in Urdu, and he said, "Kya sirf Musalmano ke pyare hain Hussain?" I was saying Shia Muslims, but not just Shia Muslims, any Muslim. "Kya sirf Musalmano ke pyare hain Hussain? चरखे नोए इंसान के तारे हैं हुसैन, इंसान को बेदार तो हो लेने दो, हर कौम पुकारेगी हमारे सलावत करो." For those who may perhaps not understand Urdu, the poet says that Hussain is not just dear to Muslims, he is the star of the eyes of all human beings. Let the human wake up from their ignorant sleep, and all the nations will then put their claims on Hussain. So a very warm welcome to all, particularly the friends from Ahl Sunnah. As you know, this year I have been given the task of talking to you in English for about 15 or 20 minutes before, until 8 o'clock anyway. Before the main speech in Urdu is recited by our respected Maulana S Zafar Abbas Sahab. We are thankful to him to have taken all the time and trouble to come all the way from Glasgow. We all are obviously very keen and eager to learn from him, so it is my duty to finish in time. Discipline is one of the best things we can and should learn from Muharram and Ahl Bayt and Karbala. And timekeeping is obviously definitely one of them. And please note that what we are going to do in English would be lectures. These will therefore be quite different from traditional majalis in contents as well as style. As there is a lot to cover in only 15 or 20 minutes space, we will hopefully achieve this without interruptions, and I will leave the Masaib part to Maulana. I will of course mention some personalities of Karbala and some events of it, but it will be mainly related to the topic and explanation and extension of it.
MashaAllah.
We will of course benefit from the majalis recitation by our respected Maulana Zafar Abbas. So for this Ashra of Muharram, for the English lectures, I have picked up some topics from now until the end of Ashra, mainly from Aqaid to start with, and then Akhlaq, ethics. Aqaid, beliefs, and Akhlaq, ethics, Islamic ethics. And today, let's talk about why do we celebrate Muharram the way we do, and what is the significance of crying over Sayyidul Shuhada, Imam Hussain alayhi salam and others, and that of the ways of expression of our love towards him and them. We obviously do not need to spend a lot of time in this topic, as it is only too obvious that we are all convinced of this. Just our presence in this majlis today, and inshallah the nights to come, is the most obvious proof of this. May Allah accept all ours and yours efforts in coming over to majalis, and reward the organizers in their efforts in arranging them. So the ayat that I recited as the subject heading for the talk today is the ayat number 23rd of the 42nd chapter of Quran Kareem, Surah Shura. It can be translated as, and the ayat obviously is, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. Everybody has heard and knows that. The translation can be, say, O Prophet, that I do not demand or claim any fee or compensation for all the efforts and difficulties I have faced in my duties towards you as the Prophet of Allah, except that you should have great love or mawaddat for my family. To be honest, this ayat alone is sufficient to explain and understand why we commemorate Imam Hussein's Shahadat. What is required of us as Muslims is love of Ahlul Bayt. There is no need to explain to this audience what does the word Ahlul Bayt mean. We routinely recite and listen to the famous Hadith-e-Qissa. This was put on the CD this evening as well. In that hadith, we only see too clearly who are the Ahlul Bayt. Allah Ta'ala himself says in ayat number 33 of surah number 33 as well, Al-Ahzab, إِنَّمَا يُرِدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
In most of the books of hadith, especially Sahih Muslim, Hazrat Aisha has narrated that the people meant by the word Ahlul Bayt in this ayat are none other than Panjatan. And obviously Panjatan being the family of Rasulullah, including Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, Bibi Fatima salamullah alayha, Imam Hassan and so according to Quran Kareem, we the Muslims are duty bound to have immense love for Ahlul Bayt, the family of the Holy Prophet. The expressions and manifestations of love can be different in different cultures and in different parts of the world. They can be very different. Nonetheless, we must have love for Ahlul Bayt. Without this emotion of love towards the Prophet and his family, none of our ibadat can be acceptable. And it is obvious that one gets happy when they see the people they love happy. And likewise, one gets sad when they see the people they love sad. There can be no two opinions in the fact that the most tragic event for the family of Rasulullah was the tragedy of Karbala. It is therefore only logical that those who love Rasulullah and his family, as per order of Quran, are most sad in the days this tragedy happened, and it is the month of Muharram, starting tonight. Some would however say, and they do say, that weeping is not allowed in Islam for any reason other than the fear of Allah, including tragedies. I will very quickly present some arguments against this argument and move on, as it is not something any of us is not aware of. So the first man created in this world was Hazrat Adam alayhi salam. He wept over when he thought that he has lost his wife Bibi Hawa, as they were both descended separately from paradise to the planet Earth. Allah did not tell him that he was wrong in doing so, or weeping over his wife. Another great prophet, Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, Jacob, he was the father of another great prophet, Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, Joseph. Hazrat Yaqub, and it's a famous story in the Quran, was told by people that Hazrat Yusuf was eaten up by wolves. He knew too well that from Allah Ta'ala himself that this was a lie, a total lie. Yet, because he so dearly wanted to see his son Hazrat Yusuf alive and safe, unharmed, that he wept. And according to Quran, he wept so much that he lost his vision in the eyes. And lastly, but obviously not least, the greatest of all prophets, Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He wept a lot after his dear uncle Hazrat Hamza was martyred at the Battle of Uhud. And he was so sad that his companions who had lost their own family members in the same battle, they could not see him as sad as he was. They asked their ladies to go to his house and weep over the loss of Prophet, over Hazrat Hamza, first to condole him and console him, and then come back to their own houses and weep on their own shuhada. So crying, if anything, is the sunnah of all prophets, including Rasulullah, and is a recommended act in Islam.
MashaAllah.
And there are many other examples that Muslim history you can read through, and this supports all that, but I'm not going to take more time on this. Let us talk about some of the manifestations and expressions of our grief that we show in Muharram. Yes, in our culture of subcontinent, we make replicas and models and some symbols and icons related to and associated with Karbala, such as alam, such as tazia, tabut, such as zari, such as zulzana, horse of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, mu'tajiz actually, and show our respect to them as they bear resemblance to the real ones. It is true that these are mostly made of wood and clothes by ourselves, and the horse is not the original one which was ever ridden by Imam Hussain alayhi salam himself. But they bear resemblance, and to us this is enough to make us remember the hardships of our Imam and his family which they faced. Is it anti-Islam? Let us talk a little more about this. Only the last month, until just the beginning of this evening, was the month of Zilhaj, the last month of the Islamic calendar. And millions of Muslims from all around the world had gone to Hijaz, nowadays called Saudi Arabia, to perform Hajj. Some even from the city of Newcastle may have actually gone there, and may Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq to all of us to perform this important, very important ibadat and salah. Just think about what we do in Hajj. And one will stop asking why we express our love to Ahl Bayt by bringing out things like alam and tazia and stuff like that. What do we do in Hajj? We go around Kaaba 7 times, at least 7 times. This is called tawaf. We all know that. And what is Kaaba? Kaaba is said to be a replica of the building at heavens which angels go around. And what is this building? We get the reply that it is the house of Allah. Okay? So does that mean that Allah lives there? Answer obviously is no. So has he ever lived there in the past? Again we hear the word no. And is there any chance in the future that he will ever live there in that building, Kaaba? No. Then why do we go around it? Because it is the house of Allah. But Allah does not have a physical body as we and you, I and you know it. So there is no chance that he needs a house. Then why Kaaba is called house of Allah? Because it is symbolic.
MashaAllah.
And when we say the same about alam and tazia, it is suddenly haram. Okay, then what do the other things the Hajis do? They run between 2 hills, Safa and Marwa. They do sa'i. Why do they do that? Because Mother Hajira, who was the mother of another prophet, Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam, she did that in anxiety and in her efforts to find some water for her thirsty son. And when we weep our Imam Hussain and the family of Rasulullah, because he himself and many other prophets have done the same over their griefs. This is wrong. Is this justice? And then what do the Hajis do? Other things? They throw stones at 3 pillars. This action is called Rami Jamrat. Those of us who have been to Hajj and Umrah, they must have done it. And why do they do that? Because these are the symbols of devils or shaitan who came to misguide. There are 2 traditions. Some would say Hazrat Ibrahim and some say Bibi Hajra. When Ibrahim was taking his son Ismail for sacrifice on the orders of Allah. But these are just pillars. They are not devils or shaitan themselves. These are just pillars made of stones and cement. Yes, but they represent those devils. And then when we make replica to represent something else, such as alam and tazia, this is haram. What else they do in Hajj? And in fact, millions of Muslims all around the world, not just in Makkah and Medina, they sacrifice goats and other animals on 10th of Zilhijjah, Eid-e-Bakri. Why? Because these goats represent the goat that was sacrificed in place of Hazrat Ismail.
MashaAllah.
So this is such a commendable act that Muslims all around the world do this. But when we, Shia Muslims, bring out another animal, horse, to represent the horse of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, this is bid'ah and this is haram.
MashaAllah.
नाराए तकबीर, अल्लाहु अकबर, नाराए रिसालत, नाराए हैदरी, निरंतर सलावत, अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद.
In the interest of time, I'll have to stop here and leave you with some thoughts and also leave you in finding your own ways as per your own culture and your ways to pay your condolence to Rasulullah on the most tragic event of his family. May Allah give us tawfiq to give kursa to the Lady of Paradise and her father Rasulullah to over the tragedy of Karbala and Kufa and Sham for the hardships faced by them and their companions. We will inshallah stick to timings more closely from tomorrow, and tomorrow's lecture, I should probably warn you now, will be on the topic of Tawheed.
MashaAllah.
Like I said, there will be lectures on some aqaid or beliefs first, followed by some lectures on akhlaq or ethics. Tomorrow's will be on Tawheed. This is obviously a very important, perhaps the most important topic among aqaid, but it's a very difficult and I have to say a very dry topic, and contents will be mainly for mature audience and a lot of concentration will be required. With your cooperation, inshallah, we'll try and enhance our understanding of our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad sallallahu